Good morning and welcome to PW Only IS English. In the news analysis for 12th of March 2025, we are going to discuss India-Mauritius relations. Why Mauritius, a very small tiny island country, is important to India even today. Then we are going to discuss about ASHA workers finally will get their enhanced pay. How much is the question mark? Which is the deciding authority which decides ASHA workers remuneration, etc. So we are going to discuss that also from the preliminary perspective. Then these are the other articles, new opportunity on a reset in India-Canada ties. This topic is also going to be relevant for GS mains paper 2 like your India-Mauritius relations. Likewise, these other articles like new immigration bill seeks to tighten existing regulations, Angola to act as a mediator in peace talks between Congo and M23 rebels. So what is the role of Angola? What is Rwanda doing here? All these articles we are going to see in a detailed manner relevant for prelims as well as mains. Let's get started with the map first of all. I want you to have a look at this map of Mauritius today, Atlas map. So 𝐑𝐄𝐂𝐻 Garcia. When was the 𝐑𝐄𝐂𝐻 Garcia given on lease to Britishers? And then finally it was acquired by the US. So recently in October 2024, 𝐑𝐄𝐂𝐻 Garcia was relieved of all the possessions, all the claims by the British, and it was handed over to Mauritius. So India has been helping all along Mauritius as a country diplomatically, militarily, and insofar as climate change, humanitarian assistance is concerned. All these topics we are going to see. Mauritius, India-Mauritius relations, you can have a note today from this news analysis, which is going to be relevant for prelims as well as mains. Before we begin, I would like to tell you about the holy offer that is started from today onwards. 80% off you can avail on all our batches on PW Only IS depending upon your medium of instruction that you want, Hindi, English or purely English. In purely English batch, I am teaching polity, governance, etc. The dynamic topics that are there for UPSC syllabus. This way you can streamline your preparation and can be sure about your first attempt. Now moving further, National Day and PM Modi is invited as the chief guest. Like we invite on our Republic Day the leaders of big countries, PM Modi is invited to Mauritius as the National Day chief guest. And the history behind National Day that is celebrated on March 12, Mauritius National Day, is that Gandhiji started Dandi March on this day. So Indian diaspora, 1.1 million people, 1.2 million people is the population of Mauritius today, out of which 70% are of Indian origin. They speak Indian languages, talk of Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam. So these are the languages. So the links are in 18th century, the French occupied the region called as Mauritius, and Britishers acquired this in 1810, and they started importing people, the slaves from India, for sugar plantations. And these slaves were offered better opportunities than they were given in the British occupied India. But that connection of 2 centuries old is still prevalent. That is where India-Mauritius relation starts from. Now the Prime Minister Modi is being given the highest civilian award of Mauritius. We had signed Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement way back in 2021. It is called as Comprehensive Economic Cooperation and Partnership Agreement. Mauritius is the second largest source of FDI after Singapore. Well, there is a devil to it. There is a bad detail also to it, that it is the route for routing black money into India. That's a separate thing. We have a double taxation avoidance agreement with Mauritius. We ask for the details of the people who are sending money into India. That kind of an arrangement is there. But a surprising thing is that even to this date, when they appoint the National Security Advisor of Mauritius, it is chosen by, the name is vetted by, the name is approved by the Indian establishment. And the National Security Advisor of Mauritius has to be an Indian citizen. Not just the person of Indian origin, but an Indian citizen. So this is the control, you can say, that India has. Control might be the wrong word to use, but yes, that's the reality. Okay, 70% people are of Indian origin, and in 1901, Gandhiji had visited Mauritius. He had given the lesson to the people of Mauritius that they have to reclaim their self-respect and they have to maintain closer ties with India. Those lessons remain intact even to this day. So let's look at this topic in detail so that you can make notes out of it. Mahatma Gandhi's visit in 1901 left a lasting impact. with his messages on education, importance of education in gaining self-respect, and then political empowerment of people of Mauritius so that they can gain the freedom against the British forces and maintaining good connection with India for the times to come. This is the lesson that has had a long lasting impact on the memory of the people of Mauritius, it seems. 70% of them being Indians. Now, India and Mauritius signed MOU in 2015 to improve transport facilities in Agalega Island. So you have a look at this Agalega Island, even though it seems stone throw away in the map, but it is not quite near 1100 kilometers worth of distance. India helped build an airstrip, a ferry service, a jetty service from the Agalega Island to Mauritius was started with the Indian investment. So this is the contribution. And whenever Mauritius has been struck by any kind of disaster, India has been the first responder, like to all its neighboring countries. You talk of Nepal, you talk of Bangladesh, you talk of Sri Lanka, you talk of Maldives. India has always responded to the crisis in its neighborhood. So is the case with extended neighborhood, in this case Mauritius. So we maintain the ties with these countries in such a friendly manner without looking at what we are gaining from these countries. These projects were jointly inaugurated. Airstrip and jetty service was started during the last visit of PM Modi when he visited there last in 2015. The infrastructure has helped improve connectivity for the residents and enhance Mauritian Defence Forces capabilities. So Mauritius finally gained independence in 1968. All right, this is an year of importance, and they signed the defense agreement. India and Mauritius signed the defense agreement in 1974. And the first challenge came in 1983 itself when there was a fear of a coup, a military coup by the army of Mauritius against the prime minister, against toppling the government. Right? That challenge was successfully averted by Indira Gandhi government with the Operation Lal Dora, even though the details of the operation are not out. Why? Because we don't believe in the theory of interference in the neighboring countries. Officially, that is the statement of the government. But Operation Lal Dora made the Indian army remain on standby by if in case any kind of such coup is given effect by the military of Mauritius, then Indian army would intervene and restore back the democratically elected government of Mauritius. So 1968 independence, 1974 defense cooperation agreement, whereby India is the guarantor of the peace and stability of Mauritius. Any challenge to Mauritius security, India would intervene. India would be the first point of call. But now India is concerned about China's growing presence in the Indian Ocean region. And that is why small tiny country of around 12 lakh people becomes so important to India, right? Like we are strengthening our ties with Assumption Island, Seychelles Islands. Same is the case with Mauritius. Chagos Island, separated from Mauritius by the Britishers. Okay. Likewise, Digo Garcia, Britishers leased it for their own military purpose, but later on they leased it to the US. Finally, in October 2024, India, with the diplomatic intervention, made Britain return this island to Mauritius. So you see, diplomatically, militarily, and even in terms of humanitarian aid, India has always stood by the small tiny country Mauritius. Okay, during the time of Cyclone Shido, which was a devastating cyclone for a small country, Mauritius, India utilized the facilities at Agalega Island to rescue the people, to provide relief and aid to the people in the time of need during the cyclone Shido. Now, it has helped the Mauritius with maritime surveillance, patrolling its EEZ, exclusive economic zone. Because Mauritius, being a small country, cannot spend so much on the patrolling vessels. Okay, that is why in combating piracy and trafficking, India has stood by Mauritius. So this is the trade. Now, $1.1 billion financial assistance. 70% of it is in the form of soft loans, or you can say the lines of credit. 729 million out of $1.1 billion total, around 10,000 crore rupees, out of which 70% is in the form of loans and $427 million, around 30% is in the form of grants. That means it is not to be returned back. An MOU was signed in 2022 to undertake 96 small people oriented projects, of which 51 have been inaugurated so far. Now, you would also be surprised to know that since 1986, ISRO has been maintaining a satellite monitoring station from Mauritius, which helps ISRO monitor the satellites and their trajectory whenever they are launched from India. Right. So this is the relationship between India and Mauritius, second largest source of FDI into India. Mauritius as of 2023-2024 after Singapore. So as I told you in the beginning that in 2021 we had signed a comprehensive economic cooperation and partnership agreement. It is the first trade agreement signed by India with any African country. So it being so small, that is why it emerges as a tax haven also. Mauritius is a tax haven whereby people park their ill-gotten money, illicit money, and then same money via round-tripping phenomena is routed back into India. That is a cause of concern, but both the countries have mutually cooperated to overcome this sour point insofar as taking care of each other's concerns is concerned. Now, moving further to the next topic, capacity building. We have been, providing the civilian and defense slots to the people of Mauritius. Around 5,000 such people, civilians have been trained, defense forces personnel have been trained in India under the Indian Technical and Economic Cooperation. We often talk about US aid helping India, but India has been playing a constructive role in its neighboring countries, especially the smaller ones like Mauritius. About 2,300 Indian students are currently pursuing higher education in Mauritius in streams such as medicine, hotel management, business studies, etc. So this was all in India-Mauritius relations. Now coming to another interesting article, ASHA workers. We have been witnessing the protests by them. We had dealt with an editorial in the last few days. The demand now is that even though the verbal assurance has come from the Minister of Health and Family Welfare, Mr. JP Nadda, that the policy making body of National Health Mission, which is known as Mission Steering Group, which is the deciding authority, has finally decided to increase the wages, the incentives for ASHA workers. But the opposition members, especially from Kerala, are not happy with this, are not satisfied. They say that the verbal assurance should be backed by the numbers. At least 21,000 rupees should be the minimum guarantee that ASHA workers will get per month, and they should receive rupees 5 lakh as the retirement benefit. But minister hasn't commented on the pay package, etc. Only thing that he said is incentives of ASHA workers have been revised. Let's wait for some more details. As and when the details would come, we'll keep you posted through this medium of daily news analysis or the Telegram channel where we share our daily news analysis PDF, guys. Now another diplomatic topic here, India Canada ties. Canada's ruling political party, Liberal Party, whose leader was Justin Trudeau. Now Justin Trudeau has been replaced by Mark Carney. He is not having any political background, but he was the governor, he was the chairperson of Reserve Bank of Canada. Has now been designated as the prime ministerial candidate. He is going to face the trust vote on the election that was already held in 2022. Only the leader has been changed now. And you all know that under the regime of Justin Trudeau as the prime minister, India-Canada relation touched its ebb, the lowest point. We were not having good ties thanks to the sour point of Khalistani movement being given, being propelled, being launched from Canada, and Canada shielding such Protestants, the separatist leaders of Khalistani movement. We are not commenting upon the movement or its good or bad side. We are saying is, as a responsible country, as a responsible diplomatic partner, Canada should have supported India under whosoever was the prime minister. Now with the change of leader, now Liberal Party is going to face elections in October 2025, this same year. Okay. However, a temporary change of leader who's getting a credibility rating higher than Justin Trudeau, it's a good thing for India to reset its ties with Canada. Federal elections in Canada are due in October 2025. That being aside, observers say Mr. Carney could call for a snap polls first. okay, so as to enhance its credibility, hoping to ride on a surge of unexpected popularity. Why popularity? Because he's been able to stand, firm against the Donald Trump's threats that Canada will be declared as 51st state of US. Okay, so he's been able to stand firm and he's been able to retaliate. 25% taxes would be imposed on, tariff would be imposed on the power that is imported into US from Canada. Okay, so Canada has said that we will fire back, we will not be succumbing to the pressure put by President Donald Trump. So that is why, even though the Liberal Party itself is facing a slide in its rating is declining. But the newly appointed, newly designated Prime Ministerial candidate Mark Carney is able to ramp up his own personal rating thanks to his steadfast response to the US, his firm response to the US pressure tactics. So that is why. Now they want to ride on this thing and call for the snap polls way before October 2025 when the elections are due. So US calling Canada, being labeled as its 51st state. Canada is also scared of these type of moves and remarks by Donald Trump. US accuses Canada of unfair duties, then fentanyl drug being imported, or you can say illegally smuggled into US with through the open border that it shares with Canada, right? So these are the concerns of US that Canada has not done enough to address. Canada's response has been that Canada would impose counter tariffs and is considering a 25% surcharge on the electricity exports to the US, with Mr. Mark Carney, the new Prime Minister designate, claiming that in trade, as in hockey, Canada will win. So these are the remarks, this is the posture that is earning him a lot of accolades and praises in the Canada. That is why he is intending to call for snap polls. By the way, Mr. Mark Carney, unlike his predecessor, does not have any political background, and that is what gives him a free and fair launch pad insofar as he would not be judged by the people of Canada or the countries like India or the US. He is going to write on the fresh slate. So that's the advantage that he's got. The exit of Mr. Trudeau is a cause for relief for India and an opportunity to reset ties that have been on the ice. So we all know this. Now, Justin Trudeau's accusations reached as high as to the level of India's national security advisor being accused of, getting Niger killed in Canada without giving any tangible proof of it. Okay, was a miscalculation and a diplomatic blunder. Now, the actions seen in comparison to more discreet dealing by the United States. So, what did United States do? Even though United States also accused of India of such kind of killings in the United States, but the actions were kept in secret via the diplomatic channels. Okay, so this is the way you deal in diplomacy. US and India had some sour points with regard to the movement being given some freedom out of the United States, UK, but we have never washed the dirty linen in public. That is what was required in Hardeep Singh Nijjar case dealing between India and Canada also. That did not happen. Now let's hope that this reset will be long lasting and the new leader will deal with maturity that was not there in case of Justin Trudeau's dealing with India. Now let's see Canada-India ties. It is significant that India is considering restoring a high commissioner. Yesterday there was a news that India is restoring a high commissioner to Ottawa. The diplomatic staff from both the countries were called back due to Justin Trudeau's accusations against India that India is involved in killing of Khalistani activists from the soil of Canada. That was the lowest ebb that the relationship could touch. Now this is an opportunity that both the countries have got, that we would be able to restore the ties back. Even Mr. Carney's opponent, Poilievre, he is also sounding in a manner that he wants to rework the relationship with India. So here is the opportunity that both the countries, India and Canada, need to seize in order to stand firm, in order to stand together insofar as the tariff war started by Donald Trump is concerned. So it will be an opportunity for both the countries. However, the proper redressal of the Khalistani issue to the satisfaction of India is something that India cannot wish away, right? And requires a system. Now that The Canada is leading, Canadian leaders are giving positive signals. It is the opportunity for Indian diplomacy to seize that at this point we can get the Khalistani issue addressed to our satisfaction. We are not the ones who needs the Canada more. Canada is the one which needs India more. So this is an opportunity that diplomacy needs to work upon and finally arrive at a logical conclusion to this Khalistani issue emanating from the soil of Canada. Moving further, guys. New immigration bill seeks to tighten existing regulations. Now, you all know that the effect that was given to 26/11 attack on Mumbai, there was a recce done by David Coleman Headley. Okay, so in the light of that, India wants to tighten the noose around all the loopholes so that such kind of an issue is not recurred, does not reoccur, I would say. Okay, Minister of State for Home Affairs introduced the Immigration and Foreigners Bill 2025 that subsumes these four laws: the Foreigners Act, the Passport Entry into India Act, the Registration of Foreigners Act, and the Immigration Carriers Liability. So immigration carriers liability means the aircrafts, the ships, they have an added responsibility. We are going to talk about that. Foreigners Act, it requires the foreign registration officers, foreign regional registration offices to take the details from the hotels. Until now, the old bill required the hotels to submit the details of any foreign traveler who had stayed in such hotel or resort facilities. Now, the added responsibility has been cast on the relatives or the friends at whose place these foreigners are going to reside. So such stringent, strict provisions have been added into the law. Right. So let's talk about it more in detail. Section 16 of the bill places the burden of proof that you are an Indian citizen on the individual who has been caught to establish they are not a foreigner. Until now, the burden was on the government, on the foreigners tribunal to prove that the individual under question is a foreigner citizen and shall be deported back. Now the burden of proof has been shifted from the government authorities to the individual. This is in line with, or this is similar to the provisions found in the laws like Prevention of Money Laundering Act or Prevention of Corruption Act. If somebody is caught with a lot of cash or a lot of gold bars, etc., he has to prove that the income or the assets that he has is commensurate with his known sources of income. Right? So this kind of a shifting of burden of proof in the matters of citizenship is something which is considered to be on the harsher side. Okay, existing regulations for the foreigners visiting India, how they have been strengthened. As I said, the even the relatives of foreign nationals whom they host, they have to provide the detailed information to the foreign regional registration offices. Like if somebody visits Amritsar, if I stay at Amritsar, somebody visits my place and he is a foreigner from, let's say, US or Canada, I have to fill up an online form telling about the details: what was the purpose of visit, what are the lineages of the person, why, how frequently has he been visiting India. All those details have to be provided to foreign regional registration office located in Amritsar. Okay, even the obligations of entities such as universities. If somebody is coming for honorary degree function or any convocation, etc., to any educational institution, hospital, nursing home, even for medical treatment, because it has been observed that the elements which are not having good intentions for India, they visit on the pretext of medical tourism, etc. Okay, that is why even the medical institutions have been required to provide the information via online details to the foreign registration regional registration offices. Okay, carrier, any aircraft carrier will have to bear the cost of removing foreigners who violate the law. For example, if an aircraft carrier is there, it is bringing a citizen from Dubai, a passenger from Dubai who does not have to be a valid passport or whose documents are not found in the sync with the requirement. So he will have to be deported back by the same aircraft company if it is Indigo or Vistara or anybody. These type of provisions have been inserted in the bill. As and when the more details come out, we will be uploading, we will be incorporating the details in the topics, guys. Okay. So as of now, these details have come up. Now, another international issue here, Angola has announced plans to act as a mediator in the conflict between Congo and the Rwandan-backed rebel group M23. So let's have a look at the map here first of all. If you look at the map here, you see Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo has been at a war with itself because M23 rebel group, it wants to oust the government and has gotten the control of a huge area of Republic of Congo with the support of Rwanda. Rwandan army is supporting it. UN experts estimate that up to 4,000 Rwandan forces are fighting alongside M23. Last time Angola had mediated in such a manner, but what happened is the mistake that Angola did was Angola invited only the Rwandan leaders. Okay, President of Congo was in Angola, and then Rwandan leaders were there, but they did not invite the leaders of M23 force. This time around, they are having a direct conversation between M23 and Democratic Republic of Congo leaders. So this is there. Rwanda-backed groups which consist primarily of Tutsis who failed to integrate into Congolese army. So these Tutsis are now seeking control over the country, Democratic Republic of Congo. They have formed a military militia group which is known as M23. Okay, so you see the direction of the M23 advance. Why are we covering this? These type of issues have been asked by the UPSC insofar as details of their capitals are concerned or name of the M23 group. For example, M23 group which is waging a war is found in which state? Okay, or is found in which country? Or you can answer the map related question here. Lake Kivu touches the boundaries of how many countries? Please answer this question in the comment section. I do not ask many questions, but it feels bad when you do not answer even the 3 or 4 questions that I'm asking. Okay, if you are sincere and committed to covering the DNA in the holistic manner, please answer these questions. Now, led major insurgency attacks against the Democratic Republic in 2012, took arms again in 2022. They had signed a ceasefire agreement also. Okay. Now, Democratic Republic of Congo is very rich in minerals. I want you to answer this second question. What are the minerals that are found in the Democratic Republic of Congo? Okay, eastern DR, eastern part of this country. What is the capital city? Okay, the M23 has reached quite close to the capital city. So this will be a fall of the symbolic power of Democratic Republic of Congo's government if they are able to move an inch forward from this location. Okay, so conflict might spiral into a regional war that the region saw in 1996-1997. That is why United Nations offices, they have been trying to mediate in the dispute but in vain. Now finally Angola has mustered the courage to mediate in the dispute and solve this problem. Why Rwanda is supporting? Rwanda is eyeing the mineral rich areas of this area. With the help of M23 group, they will also be able to exploit the mineral wealth of Democratic Republic of Congo. So this was all very small issue it is. Okay, so M23 is one of about 100 armed groups that have been vying for a foothold in the mineral rich eastern Congo near the border with Rwanda in a conflict that has created one of the world's most significant humanitarian crises. Around 70 lakh people have been displaced. All right, so now moving further, now you see the country in detail here. North Kivu Lake is there. Kivu Lake is touching the boundaries of how many countries is my simple question to you. Coming here, is rising consumer credit a cause for concern? Financial Stability Report 2024 by RBI has called for attention to the question of household finances and consumption loans. See, loans are borrowed for two purposes. One, for asset creation, okay, buying a car, buying a house, property, something of tangible, long lasting nature. While the consumer loans are for credit card, you can talk about restaurant, you can talk about managing the monthly groceries. Okay, so loans via Paytm, loans via MobiKwik, these type of applications that have sprung up in the last few years thanks to the financial inclusion or financial leveraging by the lower middle class families also. Now, RBI's financial stability report highlights this issue that 64% of the loans taken by the super prime borrowers, They are for good purpose. Super prime borrowers are considered to be good ones. Okay, prime borrowers. Then there are subprime borrowers. In the US in 2007-8, subprime lending crisis had happened. Loans were given to the people who did not have the capacity to pay back. Okay, so people who were having, for example, in India, who are having a salary of 10 to 15,000, they are given the loans of 50,000 rupees at an EMI of 7,000 per month. So they would somewhere down the line in next 3 years or 2 years they would not be able to pay back, leading to all the borrowing borrowed by them turning into non performing asset, which will have an adverse impact on the banking sector as well. Okay, so this is the crux of this news article, that lower middle class families are being lent loans aggressively. So let's have a look here. Rising debt to GDP ratio. Household debt has increased from 36.6% of GDP to 42% now, 43% rather, in 2024 June, right? So this is precarious, I would say. This is dangerous. Why? We often talk about savings rate of the Indian households being good, even though Indian households invest in gold, etc. But that is a kind of saving that needs to be mobilized. Now we are talking about savings versus debt. If debt is borrowed for good purpose, it is good. Otherwise, it is going to be a debt trap for small middle income class families, might lead to the problems, social problems like drug addiction, then bank NPAs, economic problem, then suicides, etc. Okay, household assets have decreased from 110% of GDP in June 2021 to 108%, even though it is marginal 2%, but when converted into real assets in the volumes or value terms, it translates into lakhs of crores of rupees. Okay, increased consumption borrowing. Borrowing for asset creation is good. Buying a TV, refrigerator, etc. The productivity enhancing things. Okay, even though we always talk about India being a huge consumption market, but thanks to the credit card culture, the Indian families are falling into a debt trap, which is a silent debt trap. This is what the report is trying to highlight. Okay, this trend can indicate macroeconomic weakness of Indian economy. Now, growth in borrower numbers. Another study says that, another aspect of the RBI report says that it is because of the increase in the number of borrowers, not the amount of borrowing per borrower, but it is, these are two different things. If I as a borrower buy 1 crore rupee, I am deep into debt. But if there are n number of borrowers like me, 1000, 3000, 4000, 4 lakh, 4 crore people, 5 crore people borrowing 10,000 rupees each. Okay, this is still safe. So because of the financial inclusion, because of the advent of fintech sector, financial technologies, MobiKwik, Airtel Money, Jio Money, etc., etc., Paytm Payments Bank, you can borrow loans depending upon your CIBIL score. Okay, so this is not necessarily higher individual indebtedness. This is more number of borrowers being financially included. However, the proportion of subprime borrowers is decreasing. The RBI report also highlights, with a majority of debt held by prime and super prime borrowers. Let me tell you technically, super prime borrower would be somebody whose 60% of income only is going into, prime borrower would be somebody whose 60% only income is going into EMIs, not beyond it. Subprime is whose 90% of the income is going into EMIs. If I earn 10,000 rupees, out of 10,000 rupees, if 9,000 is going into EMI, then I am somebody who is going to turn delinquent, not standing good on my financial commitments. Okay, so this is going to lead to the problem. Super prime borrowers are taking larger loans for asset creation. That is always the phenomena, even in the richer, even in the developed economies. But the credit card culture, the culture of using UPI, etc., and then having loans disbursed to your bank account on the basis of your monthly spending, and then renewal of the debt to pay the past debt. This is the phenomena that is being witnessed by the RBI, that has started in India, and this is a boon insofar as India's GDP will increase for some moments, for some years, but after that these people, when they would be in a debt trap, they would be problems, social problems, economic problems in their turn. So this is the concern of this report. So guys, this was all in today's news analysis. I hope you liked it. Do let us know your feedback and please answer the questions. As I said, some of you would be catching up today because we have started the DNA in the recorded format in the last few days only. How are you finding it? Are you finding it better than the previous version, the live session, or this one is better? Do let us know about it. Thank you. Bye bye. This was all in today's news analysis. Thank you, guys.